question that was asked during the workshop was, what is the difference in when you use strategic directions versus role expectations? The biggest difference between these two is really the scope and really overarching purpose. I'll start with strategic directions. Strategic directions really focuses on the leadership practices of an organization and the leadership practices and behaviors that will be necessary for an organization to be successful within the next 2 to 3 years. So strategic directions is best used when an organization feels as if the current set of leadership behavior or leadership practices is not functioning well. They are about to endure a change. They're about to undergo a transition. There has been a merger. There's some need to focus the overarching leadership practices and leadership behaviors of an organization. And so the process entails usually working with the senior executive team to determine what set of leadership behaviors from the LEA will be necessary over the next 2 to 3 years to be successful for the organization in reaching their goals. And again, this is usually done when an organization is going through some sort of transition, whatever the transition might be. Strategic directions is really helpful in coalescing what it is that the organization wants to focus on as in terms of leadership in general, right? This isn't just the senior executive team. It's leadership across the board throughout the organization. What are the leadership practices and behaviors that we feel are particularly necessary and critical to be successful, again, over that 2 to 3 year time frame? That's really the sweet spot that we feel is effective for strategic directions. Role expectations, on the other hand, are the leadership practices that will be required in a specific role and today, right? So it's not in the next 2 to 3 years, it's right now, and it is role specific, right? So if you are looking to hire, a handful of VP of sales, right? And you want the leadership behaviors that you feel are going to be necessary to be successful for that role, that would be when you would engage the role expectations process. The process looks similar, but you would look similar to strategic directions, but you would only engage the stakeholders who would be really close knit to the role that you are, the role that you're looking at, right? So if you're VP sales, potentially you would, look at the hiring manager for that role and the people who potentially have been successful in the role in the past, or whatever it might be, right? The stakeholders who would have a clear line of sight in terms of what it is to be successful in that role. So again, just very briefly, overarching difference here is the scope. You're looking at the entire organization. You're looking at for the leadership practices. You're looking at 2 to 3 years in time frame, and you're looking at a big some sort of big transition where the leadership practices need to be focused for strategic directions. Role expectations is right now, and it's role specific. And so if you're going to be hiring for a specific role, that would be when you would utilize the role expectations process.